Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. The Ohio State Buckeyes land not one, but two massive commitments in the 2024 class and two twin brothers from the state of Ohio in Deontae Armstrong and Devontae Armstrong. Two really intriguing players, but I kind of want to talk a little bit about the larger storyline, which is brewing, is the absolute battle the Michigan Wolverines and the Ohio State Buckeyes are having for recruiting in the state of Ohio. This has been a state that's kind of been dominated by Ohio State. Like, Ohio State's kind of had their choice of the crop when it comes to the top tier talent coming out of the state of Ohio. Michigan finally in this 2024 class starting to take a push. We'll take a look at some of the recruits that are left on the board. But before we get into it again, I just want to say thank you to you guys. Whether you're a Michigan fan, whether you're an Ohio State fan, a lot of you know I rock with the Michigan Wolverines, but it has been a blast talking ball with you guys in the comment section, talking a little recruiting, talking kind of roster management and how you build a roster through the recruiting trail. So again, appreciate all the support you guys have shown. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Let's get into this. Let's touch on the Armstrong brothers. And again, many of you guys know I'm a twin brother. I think this is extremely cool. You're getting one guy who is kind of slated to play on that interior offensive line spot, and then Deontae, the older brother, supposed to play on the outside. Two guys, top 350 prospects nationally. It's kind of funny because I like these guys a little bit more than I do Mark Nave. Take a look at kind of the guys they're bringing in on the offensive line. Mark Nave's he's already built. Like, if you saw this dude's commitment picture, the pictures he's had on campus in Columbus, like, this guy's a grown man. He's an absolute house. The Armstrong brothers, on the other hand, a little less developed, but when you watch them play, like, they kind of have that athleticism, which I'd rather have that athleticism. You get into the program, you put on your weight, and then you're still an athlete. You put on the weight the right way. So I'm really I'm a big fan of the Armstrong brothers. I think Mickey Mariotti will do a phenomenal job, like he always does, putting the weight on these cats. But two guys that, one, love it that they're twin brothers, is kind of a 2-for-1. You're getting two really solid guys at different spots, right? You're kind of rotating Deontae at that tackle spot, and then Devontae more of an interior offensive line spot. And you also have Ian Moore coming in too from the state of Indiana. Ohio State's recruiting class in general in 2024 coming along, 6 commits, obviously headlined by Jeremiah Smith, who you're seeing a lot of rumors that he's on flip watch to Florida. I think that's something to monitor if you're Ohio State, but pulling him away from a coach like Brian Hartline, who is one of the best recruiters we've seen do it in a very long time, is going to be hard. Ohio State has a proven track record in the sense of, you go to Ohio State, you're going to develop into a damn good wide receiver. You're going to play for a really good offensive coach and Ryan Day, and you're going to play for a good quarterback, and you're going to go to the NFL. Like, Ohio State has shown that recipe. So it's going to be really hard in my mind for a team like the Florida Gators, who's done kind of the complete opposite in the last couple of years in terms of development, pass catching talent, to pull a guy like Jeremiah Smith away. What I'm going to talk about a little bit more, right? Ohio State sitting at 6 overall, Michigan sitting at 5th overall nationally. I want to talk a little bit more about this state of Ohio and the battle that is being waged in terms of Michigan and Ohio State recruiting the state of Ohio. Bryce West and Aaron Scott headline the group, both really sticky cornerbacks, both guys 24/7 Sports love, and both currently crystal balled to Ohio State. But the two contenders for those two guys are Michigan and Ohio State. I know Bryce West is coming back to Michigan this summer. Aaron Scott was just on campus. Obviously, they've been on Columbus plenty of times. This was something that you hung your hat on if you're Michigan, right? Very few times in the last couple of years, and honestly, the last almost half a decade, has Michigan and Ohio State offered the same kid from the state of Ohio, and Michigan wins the recruiting battle. Jordan Marshall was an example of that, and obviously a huge win for Mike Hart, the running back coach, but just something for Michigan fans to get optimistic about, right? You see it on the field a little bit, closing the gap, but winning on the recruiting trail, I mean, that's how you win college football games. Michigan being able to do that was big. But again, Ohio State still trending for the top 2 guys in the state. And an interesting story here. Brian Robinson hasn't even gotten an offer from Ohio State, right? One of the best edge rushers in this class from Youngstown, Ohio. Michigan hasn't even come in with an offer. I find that to be very interesting. But again, this year, or in the history, the last 5 to 10 years, Ohio State has really dominated, especially with this top talent in the state of Ohio. You're seeing maybe some things change, but again, Ohio State still crystalled for the top two guys. And another guy to keep an eye on, though, is Jaden Davis committing Friday. Ohio State reportedly making a really strong push for Jaden Davis, who I'm interested to see, and we can pull that up too. I'm a little bit interested in that, is who's Ohio State going to target at that quarterback spot, in the sense that you have Dylan Raiola, who longtime commit to Ohio State. I think Ohio State started pulling back on recruiting some of the other cats in the 2024 class. They had the number one guy locked up. And now I think Ohio State a little bit is scrambling to make a push for a guy like Jaden Davis, who they're in this top five. And I've said this, I think this is really leaning Michigan. But if there were to be another school that comes in and steals the commitment, I do think it would be Ohio State. I think it's really one of the only ones that makes a lot of sense. They don't have a quarterback locked up. It's a place where they've put a lot of talent into the NFL draft at the quarterback position. He's the last, outside of Dylan Raiola, one of the last like legit quarterbacks in this class that's a top 100 dude. I'm really interested to see if Ryan Day's making a strong push at it. But again, Aaron Noland also considering committing to Ohio State. He's a stud. Aaron Noland is a very, very fun dude to watch. He's a lefty, absolutely rips it. I would look for, if Jaden Davis stays locked in on Michigan, I would really not be surprised if you see Ohio State make a strong push for Aaron Noland, because again, a lot of these top quarterbacks in the 2024 class already locked up and committed, and it's not as deep of a class as it was last year. You remember last year, guys like Arch Manning, Big Nico, Dante Moore, five quarterbacks in the top 13 nationally. Not as much of a loaded quarterback class here. So I would expect Ohio State make a strong push for Jaden Davis, make a strong push for Aaron Noland. But the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry in the state of Ohio is extremely fun to watch. Keep an eye on a guy like Bryce West, Aaron Scott, in terms of committing to Ohio State or Michigan, the two top contenders. Again, appreciate you guys checking us out. If you do enjoy the content, want to talk some recruiting, want to talk some college football, consider subscribing to the channel. We really do appreciate all the support you guys have shown, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.